I've lost my kids. I've lost my grandkids. I've lost almost every single bit of my family. Had a lot of bad shit happen to me. And I put myself in a lot of bad situations. How I'm still standing here today is not possible.
Hey there, my name is Sean, and this is Suicide Noted. On this podcast, I talk with suicide attempt survivors and ideators so that we can hear their stories. Every year around the world, millions of people try to take their own lives, and we almost never talk about it. We don't really talk about it. We don't really listen, not well. That is a problem. So one of my goals with this podcast is to have more conversations, and hopefully better conversations with survivors, in large part to help more people in more places hopefully feel a little less shitty and a little less alone. Now, if you are a suicide attempt survivor and you'd like to talk, please reach out. I would love to talk with you. hello@suicidenoted.com. We are about a month out from the tour. Things are coming together. We'd love your support. If you want to come to one of the events, if you want to support the event or get involved, you'll find all the links in all the places here on the podcast, the website, the social media. They're everywhere. Have a look. If you're interested, help us out. Shoot me an email. Whatever you got to do. It's going to be really good. I'm really excited about it, and I want you to be a part of it. Finally, we are talking about suicide on this podcast. My guests and I don't hold back, so please take that into account before you listen or as you listen. But I do hope you listen because there is so much to learn. Today, I am talking with Britton. Britton lives in Colorado, and he is a suicide attempt survivor. Britton, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Decent. You have a nicer setup than I do. Look at you with your microphone, your fan. I'm talking to the suicide monk today. Damn.
Just a guy, man, just trying to do my best.
Just a guy doing his best. I like that. That's a memoir title right there.
Thanks, man.
You're in Colorado, right? You Colorado?
Yeah. Southern Colorado.
Appreciate you talking with me.
Yeah, for sure. I appreciate this. So,
well, let's give the audience some context, whoever's listening out there. And thank you for listening, by the way. I don't thank my audience enough. Thank you. I reached out to Britton, and I don't do this kind of thing very often. I've been very blessed that people reach out to me. They want to be on the podcast. But I was curious, and over the years, I've been looking at what are the other podcasts out there that touch on this subject in any way, particularly around attempt survivors. Britton's got a podcast called The Suicide Monk, and there's a big YouTube channel. And I just reached out, and then we connected last week. We had a nice conversation, and I invited you to talk. You said yes. Here we are. You middle-aged, I think, white dudes. Let's just say it. It's part of it. The demographics matter. Two middle-aged white guys talking about suicide.
Yeah, there's a lot of us.
A high percentage definitely struggling silently.
Yeah, it's something that I'm comfortable with. It's not something that I want. You know, growing up, my dad's job took us a lot of places. I had one secure kind of home where I had a few mothers, felt loved and really grounded. This is a part of my story that is fairly new because it's new memory, fairly new realization. That all kind of fell apart for me when I was a boy. My dad's job took us all over the country. I don't have a lot of memories from basically 0 to 10. I can probably give you 5 to 7 memories through that. I woke up around the age of 10. I do have a memory of around, I'm guessing 5, that this is not the way life is supposed to be. Like something is inherently wrong and very numb, very unemotional inside. And I don't know if that's a trait that we inherently have in my family or DNA line, but I see it in a couple of my family members where there's this disassociation. You know, we have this long lineage of abuse, physical abuse and mental abuse. And my mom is very mentally ill to a degree that she doesn't realize that she's mentally ill. She thinks she's okay. Like if she were sitting here today, she would tell you that she didn't do any of this stuff. But I know for a fact because I've seen her do it to other people. So it's not just my account. And I've seen her do it to my sister in horrific ways. So a lot of physical abuse growing up, a lot of emotional abuse, spiritual abuse. What she gathered was information for other people to learn and live by, not her, because she already considered herself living those good paths. Then I was sexually abused as well. I don't know how long that went on. It could have been one time. I just remember one time, and it profoundly affected my whole sexual life. I became hypersexual. I became very ashamed of who I was every time I had sex. Any time there was physical touch, I felt gross. And I've still felt that in a lot of ways throughout my life.
It's an interesting thing that you said about being hypersexual, but and I think the word you used was, is it disgusted by something negative
Disgusting.
around
Yeah.
touch?
It's the compensation to shut the monkeys up. It's the same thing that alcohol does, drugs do. It's the reason I smoked weed is it calms the monkeys. Everything is a crutch to get away from me. And that's
Mm,
always been the problem. I woke up at 10 and I woke up shattered. I didn't wake up broken. I was shattered into a million pieces. I didn't understand society. I didn't understand. I was emotionally taxed
mm,
in every way, shape, or form. I went to school. I cried all day. I didn't go to recess. I didn't go to lunch. There's usually one teacher that felt sorry for me that would keep me in class because nobody wanted to play with me. I mean, obviously, if you got a kid that's mean 1 minute and then crying the next and emotionally unstable, it's not really a good opportunity for
you're
friendship.
not,
And
yeah, you're not one of the cool kids, right?
no, 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 no. And then when I was allowed to play, I messed up. Like if I was allowed to play football, I'd intercept at the wrong time on the fourth down in their end zone, or
You can't get it right.
yeah, just never belonged.
Hmm.
And in some ways, that's transferred throughout my life. And I've actually just recently come to realization how that affected me in my spiritual life. And that's where all of it kind of unraveled for me.
Mm,
I saw my grandparents on my side, my dad's side, beautiful people, absolutely beautiful people, Irish Catholic, devoted, went to church, walked to church 5 days a week. My aunt's been a nun for 65 years. I would see that go where I was loved and cared for, and then go home and it wasn't safe because dad wasn't there and he was my only protection against
mm,
the person that was supposed to be the last line of defense for anybody, and that's your mom.
mm.
Not that dads can't create that damage, but your mom is the one that has the most time with you. At least that's what I've seen.
Yeah.
I'm no expert on this, but
How many suicide attempts do you have in your life?
I mean, every time I got on a motorcycle, every time I got in a car, every time I went skiing, every time I did anything, I'm afraid of everything. So I faced it head on and full force with the hopes that I would make a mistake.
Wanting to die.
Oh, every single day.
Usually when I ask that question, it's like, I've got two attempts. Sometimes it's, I've got two, and this is their words, not mine, sort of like serious or real attempts. And then, throughout the years, yeah, I'm driving and I know I can just swerve off the brake, that kind of thing. The
Yeah.
way you frame that's a little different.
Yeah. And I'll just give you one instance. Motorcycles are my passion. I love motorcycles. I love being on them. They're fast and I'll push them to the limit. I got on one night, sober as the day is long, no lights, 149 miles an hour, got head shake, no helmet. And in the middle of the night, I just let go of the handlebars and that thing's just going down the highway. And it finally stopped. And I just grabbed the handlebars and kept going. It's just, at that speed with no helmet, you're not going to live.
Right.
And if you do, you're not going to know it.
Your attempts are all around action, doing something intensely. So there was no gun, there were no pills, there was no jumping. It was going fast on things.
Yeah, always unprotected, and doing anything I could to put myself in those positions, whether it be bad places, bad people. I've been shot at. I've felt the wind of a bullet between my hip and my hand. I was shot at 5 times in Akron, Ohio, for
Wow.
taking the wrong exit just by happenstance. I've had a gun pointed in my face when I was 10.
Wow. Okay. So you could easily not be here. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So I grew up in the mountains, and it's a vacation spot, and so I never really left there and fell in love with it, and then got married and moved to Indiana for 30 years.
30 years?
30 years, yeah.
30 years you're married.
No, I was married for 14. I stayed whatever the extra is on that 16 on for my children. I had 4 children, 2 adopted girls, and then 3 grandchildren. I went to church there. I spent 15 years in church there. I was sober for 17 years.
Okay. What's your history or background with alcohol?
I checked myself into a treatment center when I was 18 years old. I didn't have the fortitude to put a gun in my mouth at the time when I was 18. I couldn't do what I was doing, and the drinking wasn't helping, and I was getting nowhere. I just wanted to die so bad. So I
Yeah.
checked myself into a treatment center, and when I left there, I was like, "Do you think I'll stay sober?" And they're like, "No." Absolutely not. I got kicked out of the halfway house. At that time, I was one of the youngest adults in the AA program. For 17 years, I stayed sober. And then I realized, about 2 years into it that I was the problem, but I didn't want to bring alcohol into my home. Drinking on the weekends and smoking a little weed and, going high to school once in a while didn't really qualify me as an alcoholic or a drug addict. I had major mental problems. Those were way before the alcohol and drugs. The alcohol and drugs was always just to shut it up.
It's interesting that you were able to stay sober for so long. I think that's not easy.
I'm Irish. We're
Oh,
stubborn. Tell me I can't do something.
right. So for part of your life in Indiana, it sounds like 20s, 30s. You're struggling, but you got a big family, a growing family. You're going to church.
Yeah.
Are you also during those years doing the kinds of things you were doing that you described in terms of the motorcycle, the rocks, all the stuff to just basically kind of a death wish? Is that right? Is that a bad word?
Oh yeah, that's exactly what I had, and that's more of what it was. It wasn't until this last year that it became. I planned it a couple times, and I've kind of given my faith some leadway. I'm like, you have a week to show up, or I'm done.
Oh, I like that game.
Yeah, that's a fun game. Well, I did that 3 times, and then this fourth time, I'm like, I'm not making any more deals. I'm not doing this. I'm going to tell my friends. I'm going to tell the people because everybody complains that well, I wish I would have had another moment or I would have hugged them or, so I'm like, okay, people want to know. I'll tell them. They don't.
How does that conversation go?
It goes pretty well until they find an excuse to walk away. And it's usually subtle, and I don't resent them or angry for them. I lost about 20 good friendships. Mm-hmm. And so I have these really beautiful, intimate, loving relationships. At least that's what I thought. And 30-year relationship, 20-year relationship, 5-year relationship, 10-year relationship. They all walked away. And what I realized through that was people have a really hard time with suicide. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to do it. Mm-hmm. They don't know how to deal with it. Presence is one of the biggest killers of suicide. I totally understand why people have walked away from this. It's not for lack of love for me. It is an inability to understand something so dark. And I don't want them to understand. I don't want people to understand this. No. If they understand this, they're in a dark, tormental place that I would rather have them misunderstand and just walk next to me and have the conversation than totally understand how I feel and why I feel the way I feel.
Sure, but to have the conversation is a skill set to some degree and even an intention that most people simply do not have in my experience. They just simply do not. It's an interesting thing, and you can tell I sometimes struggle finding the words.
Sure.
The irony of all of that is that in a sense, and I don't mean to simplify this rather complicated thing, that is prevention.
That is one of the biggest preventions.
What do you hear about with prevention is so many other things, and they have their place, arguably.
They do.
But you do not, it just feels too soft, right?
And here's the thing. This is the blanket statement that the big pharma has made. If you're suicidal, then you have mental health problems across the board. And that's not true.
I think I can say with confidence that most people are doing the best they can. They have decent intentions. Not everybody, but we just don't let people talk about it. Not often. Not typically. Yeah.
One of my closest friends, I walked in to his business one day and he's like, "How you doing, buddy?" I was like, "I want to die today." I was serious. I wanted to die. He goes, "No, you don't." And that was the last of it. It's, again, misunderstanding.
Yeah. And it sounds like for you, not only interpersonal, relational, but also spiritual.
In all my abandonment, all my abuse, all that stuff the things that I've done, I feel abandoned by God and I feel alone in this world. And I've always felt alone. And that's what this conclusion was. That's where my rage came from. When I was a boy is like, when I would leave my grandparents, I'd go home to this unsafe place. And when I'd go to school, it wasn't safe either. And so I was always living in fight or flight. So then that created, being bullied, or I became the bully for weaker people. And then I became abusive as an adult. With my rage and my anger and my yelling and my words, man, they tried to put me in a special ed class when I was young, when I was 10. 10 is a significant year for me. Yeah. Oh, it's where not only did I wake up shattered, I was continually beat with a hammer. Both my grandfathers died that year. Both my grandfathers that loved me dearly. They were teaching me things. One grandfather was a carpenter. My other was a carpenter and a hunter, and they were teaching me those boyhood man things. And both of them died. And then my aunt died, and we buried her on my birthday. because my grandfather was like, we're not waiting another day. And so we went and buried my aunt, which I vaguely remember. I remember maybe being in a suit and then going home and cutting cake and celebrating. And that has haunted me every birthday since up until a year ago.
When did you leave Indiana?
I've been a nomad living in my car for about 2 years now. I've been on the street. So I had a brain tumor in 2020,
Okay.
lost my career, went blind. I'm blind in my left eye
Okay.
and lost my career. And I just really haven't ever recovered. So
What was your career?
I was a carpenter. Yeah. And then furniture builder. And then I had a business with my son-in-law that fell through.
Well,
So starting over, but again, I was going to go take my life a year ago. So I was planning for almost 10 months to go take my life. In 20 years, I've never been in debt. And I just put myself in a ton of debt to go enjoy my last 6 months of life and ended up starting the podcast because my friend was struggling and tried to raise money so she could get therapy before I took my life. I know there's a big contradiction. You're going to take your life to save other.
so you have a brain tumor, you lose sight in one of your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
You leave Indiana, you're somewhat nomadic, kind of nomadic slash last hurrah.
Oh yeah. No, I'm nomadic because I have no choice. I'm on the street. I lost everything.
So that alone would put a lot of people in a sort of tough, really tough space where they would consider. I mean, I just think a lot of people would be like, this is where it all came to.
Yeah. I don't think we tend to look at how much stress we put ourselves under. Even with, for lack of better terms, my mental health issue with rage. Rage in and of itself is enough for me to be done. It is this thing that is tormenting, even though it's taken out on inanimate objects or it's just I have a sharp tongue. I become hyper intelligent, very cruel with my tongue. And this is one of the things that I don't like about myself. But for me to hold that in, it feels like my head is just going to explode. I didn't understand how to control my rage. I've done all the books, I've read all the stuff, I've done all the programs, I've done all the stuff, and just none of it.
Right. All right. So tell me a little bit more about growing up.
So I lost my grandfathers that year. I lost my aunt that year. We moved to Colorado, so I lost my safety and security of the other mothers that I knew and my friends and kids that I grew up with, and basically like brothers, sisters, cousins, all that stuff. 3 months after we moved to Colorado, my mom and dad split. I think it was a few weeks after that. We didn't have any food, and the ugliness of divorce. People tend to get really mean and cruel and don't really think about kids. So dad wasn't given money. We didn't have any food. Mom decides to take her life. She dumps a bunch of pills down her gullet. She's dead for 17 minutes and they bring her back. I think that's where I understood that is the answer to my problems. I remember that. And here's another moment. In that 5-year-old range, I was standing alone on the playground in New Mexico and nobody wanted to play with me. And I felt very alone. And that's my first memory of aloneness. And then at 10, my mom tries to commit suicide and I'm standing in a hospital and not one person says a word to me. And I feel very, very alone and abandoned. And then they bring her back. We got to go back to the abuse and the struggle. And, sometimes you wish you would have been an orphan or you would have been just left, because I was making my own food and taking care of myself by the time I was 10 years old. I don't remember my mom cooking after the age of 10. I've always cooked for myself. I was taking care of I got myself to school. I was on my own. I didn't have a curfew. And I grew up, it's funny you said white, but I grew up in black neighborhood. And then part of it was Mexican. So I don't have those goggles. It's been a struggle. I didn't drink for 17 years. I didn't want to bring that stuff into my home and around my kids because of my mother's side of the family. Have a lot of drugs and alcohol and that. I wanted my kids to be able to have a clean slate to be able to make their own choices. I knew I wasn't per se a full-blown alcoholic. Did I have the potential? Yeah. For me, it's the mental thing. For 10 years now, I've drank almost every day at home. Just in December, I was like, I don't want to drink every day. I don't want to drink at home anymore. If I go out, I'll drink.
Have you been able to do that?
Oh yeah, I do. I miss it once in a while. Yeah, because do the monkeys start jumping? Yeah, but I'm at a lot more peace now, and that's really what it has to do with. I've never understood peace, never known joy, never known happiness. Which will back up to get to the joy and happiness. I discovered that several years ago, and peace only recently. Really, I was married to a woman that I didn't love, but I didn't love myself. That is something that I probably shorted her because I did not love her. I had 4 kids with her, and because I was abandoned, I didn't want to leave my kids. The whole story, I just did it wrong. I didn't do it out of respect for myself or respect for her. it has made me the man I am, and I can't take that back, nor would I want to, because it has put me in a position to, even though I've lost so much, help people in a way that I would have never imagined. Every single thing I'm not upset about. I've lost my kids. I've lost my grandkids. I've lost almost every single bit of my family.
Britton,
Uh,
there's some people that would hear that, what you just said, I'm glad about all of it, I'm thankful for all of it, and say, that's fucking bullshit.
I've had a lot of bad shit happen to me, and I've put myself in a lot of bad situations. How I'm still standing here today is not possible, but yet it is.
Unlikely for sure.
Yeah. I should have been done it 100 times. Easy. I'm not.
Is that person today, or at least in this moment, suicidal?
No. I would say one time recently I've had a severe bout with it, but it was for purpose. And I understand the purpose. And that purpose was to realize my anger for my faith and my God, and why I literally cuss God out. I'm a foul, foul man when I'm pissed. And I'm pissed at God, and I'm pissed that I'm abandoned, and I don't want to do this alone anymore. And that's where it all came from. I'm not walking away from my faith. I'm trying to understand it in a way that I feel loved and unabandoned. So, and that's why I'm going on the pilgrimage, through my meditation, through my prayers, come walk with me. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm diabetic. My feet hurt every day. They're on fire every morning. What are you talking? Come walk with you. You want me to go on a pilgrimage, 500 miles. Okay, let's do it. Because it's either going to kill me or I'm going to be a changed man. That's me facing the fears.
Yeah.
My fear is that I can't do. My fear is that I can't make it. My fear. Bullshit.
Your podcast, The Suicide Monk.
Where did the monk part come from?
It was going to be called The Drunken Monk. I was walking towards my death. I was going to have a little fun, try to make some money for my friend. I thought I was going to be this Joe Rogan of suicide. And
that's what I think I am. Don't take my fucking spot, Brett.
But, I was drinking and smoking weed on my podcast, interviewing friends. And I realized that this is a serious issue. And that, as I'm getting healthy, people are reaching out and they're thanking me for something that I didn't intend. Like, I just wanted to help my friend get better. This has also been a preventative for me. It's been therapy. One of the best things I've ever done for therapy is this right here. Not just a podcast, but talking to myself. When I'm angry, I get in front of the mic so I can see who I am. And then I go back and listen to it. And that narrative I said and told myself originally now is a new narrative. So I redo the narrative. And what is the real narrative, Britton, now that you're calm and you let that steam go? Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's my part in it. Oh, that's their part. But okay, so what's your part? Then why did you act the way you act? Why do you react the way you act? And so, just asking myself the proper questions, because I don't have the money to go to therapy. I don't have the resources to do some of the things that I need to do to get better.
Yeah.
But as I present myself to myself and I observe that man that is talking back to me, that's powerful.
People have often asked me, isn't this really hard for you? You've got this, you've had all these conversations. Are you taking care of yourself? For most of the time, the way I respond is, weirdly, perhaps this podcast, which is essentially these conversations, is keeping me tethered.
Right.
Is keeping me connected. It's in some ways the least dark part of my life.
It's 100% the least dark part of my life.
Actually, what's much harder for me is actually a lot of the other conversations that I'm in. Sometimes kind of forced to be in, sometimes just you're there and they all feel meaningless to me, or weird to me, or a performance. And it's just fascinating to me. I'm like, no. This stuff I'm doing is kind of the opposite of that. It's light to me because, sure, I get what you're saying. Suicide and death feels dark, but talking about it is the opposite of that.
Right.
I want to hear a little bit more about this last almost attempt. I know that you had an interview and you were talking about your life, your experiences with suicide, among other things. I also know that you went to a retreat.
So between February, the day after my interview, and I wanted to take my life, 2 days later, I'm in the worst shit. I mean, I'm boiling over. I'm 99% sure this isn't going to work. And I'm 99% sure I'm going to leave there because I'm within 2 hours of the place I wanted to take my life, where I had planned on. The first day I did the treatment, the one treatment, hero's dose of psilocybin, 8 grams. Yep, you heard that right. It broke down all the walls that I built as a child, all those protective walls that kept me safe. Where the temper tantrums came from, the abuse. People stop hitting you when you start to be, they don't know what you're going to do. So all that anger started to, and it's still unfolding. It's still crumbling. And I've only done one treatment. That's the amazing thing. I can't even repeat the things that I said to God that day.
Hmm.
But what happened was I saw God, I saw the devil, I saw my life unfold. I saw visions that I've had for 30 years come to fruition. I started having visions when I was 18. I'd say I might be schizophrenic, but from the schizophrenics that I've spoken with in doing this work, I understand the difference between reality
Mm-hmm.
and what their reality is. Yeah, I had a pretty profound vision come to fruition for me. And it's not that the rage or all that was gone all at once. It didn't cure me. What it did was it allowed me to wipe the slate clean
Hmm.
and say, I am now in control of my life. I am now the one that gets to write the story. So I had this, if you watch my Soft White Underbelly and you go back and you're like, this guy's, he's a victim. That's kind of, there's some language in there that would indicate that I'm not a victim. All this needed to happen.
Do you feel like being a victim's not okay?
I think it hurt me more than it helped me. I think language is really important. And I say that because of the way I talk to myself. It's not that those things aren't true. My story's true. I was abused and all that good stuff, right? My narrative to that story is what's important.
Yeah, yeah.
And you can say, well, you're just fooling yourself, making it better. No, really, I can't speak into other people's lives without the torment or trauma that I have. It's never made sense to me until now. That rage, that anger I was telling you about, that has taken everything from me, per se. As soon as I started kneeling to it, it stopped playing in my sandbox. I did the very counterintuitive thing that nobody ever told me to do. One thing. As soon as I start getting mad, I hit my knees, period. Now I'm puffing and spitting and cussing, but I'm not giving it a place to play.
Mushrooms help with that. And that was June.
That was June.
Less than a year ago. And I just want to understand the timeline here. Was it only a couple weeks ago that you were having some really hard conversations with God?
Oh, yeah.
So it's not as if you did the mushrooms, you had this profound experience, and then we're good.
No, it does not work that way. And here's the thing that I think people are misinformed about. If you go to do a modality like mushrooms, MDMA, ketamine, these things, they will work if you're ready.
Yeah.
If you're ready to face who you are, they will work. If you are not, you will keep going back, chasing that same thing that you can't find.
How do you know if you're ready?
You'll know when you're done.
You only know after the fact.
I'm saying you'll know in your own life when you're done dealing with the shit you're facing. And that's what I realized. And that's everything I'm doing right now. What I'm doing is pointless without my faith. And that's my struggle right now. I don't want to go forward without my God.
Does your God have a name?
Yahweh, God, Christ, Holy Spirit. I'm not a Christian, but I have studied other religions and I always end up on this porch. I love the narrative of Christ, and I read the Old Testament differently than most people. We read these stories of God would open the earth and because somebody stole and cut somebody's hand off, whatever. I'm like, you're looking at a man's narrative and the ebb and flow of God speaking in that. And that's where God is. It's in between the words. It's not the actual words. Mm-hmm. God is in the spirit of the word that is flowing through that Bible. And not every word is there that he has ever spoken, but it's enough to live. And it's enough to understand who he is. And that's the beautiful thing that I find about Christ is it's been so misused. You look at the life of Christ, it was never a condemnation. It was always an invitation. And that's all I've ever done. That's what I've done now is accept that invitation. And is that invitation easy? Hell no. He took me to the dark and I'm pissed at him about it. I'm like, I've been chasing you. And I'm doing great. And you take me to the darkest time I've ever been in. He's like, yeah, you needed to go, but I was with you. I'm like, I saw the devil that night. I felt the breath of his whispers on my neck. And that's where you wanted to take me? He's like, yeah, I needed you to go there because we got a journey ahead. Remember what I said in Arizona? We have much work to do.
And you doing it?
I'm doing it. As much as I've tried to derail myself and put myself on a different path, get a job, do this, do that. He's like, no, I need you here. This is what I built you for. You know what? That experience with suicide a couple weeks ago pissed me off to the point where I'm tired of the devil taking so many people.
Do you judge people for taking their lives?
No,
Not a little bit.
no, I don't see any weakness or shame in it. I would not blame anybody for this. Is it what I want for somebody? No. I just hope I don't get recycled. I don't want to come back here. In my later life, I've discovered who I am. And through those things that held on to me that weren't true, all those abuses, that narrative is not true.
Mm-hmm.
The narrative is, Britton, you're not a bad person. You're not ugly. You're not disgusting. You're not. These things are outward reactions to things that were done to you. What's my true nature? My true nature is I'm loving, I'm kind, I'm giving, I'm loyal. You go down the list of good, and I'll guarantee that most people can fall in that category. I am not my rage. I am not my hate. I am not my judgment. I'm not my prejudice. Those are things that were taught to me. I just need to unlearn those things and teach myself how I want to be in society. And I do that by observing the story I'm telling myself. My life now is not about me. So, and my friend asked me, she's like, you're building all these things. This is going to be really cool because, a lot of people, they want to leave legacy. And, I'm like, as soon as I'm dead, I could care less if my name lives beyond that.
Yeah, same, 100%. So this work, these conversations that you're having, kind of like I do with people in pain.
When someone does it or does it with you or for you, it feels so different.
Yeah.
And you know it. And then you're reminded of how rare it is.
Yeah.
I have a question about psych units or mental health facilities.
Whether it was voluntarily or not, go to a psych unit, mental health facility, and stay the night, at least a night.
Not a mental health facility per se. I did go to Mercy Hospital in Des Moines, Iowa when I was 18, but I checked myself into a drug and alcohol treatment for that.
Got it.
So that is the only other time I have been at that point where I've felt that mental break, and it's a terrifying place to be.
How many people do you have in your life that you can talk to who can create that kind of space you referenced? And that would include you going there.
One.
S word and all that. One.
I can't tell my closest friends the darkness that is on my heart. Cannot.
Boy, the difference of having nobody and one body is pretty big.
It's huge.
I magically give you a pink and purple pill right now through Zoom. You can do whatever you want with it, right? But if you take it, you go to sleep. It's peaceful. It's calm. You can have any dreams you want. You don't wake up. And if you want to add this part to it that nobody knows it's a suicide, just Britton passed away. What do you do with that pill?
I wouldn't take it.
Would you save it or chuck it?
Chuck it.
Right now, you would?
Yep.
What if I asked you a year ago?
I definitely would have taken it.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. If I had somebody walking with me throughout my life, I would be a much different man. A friend of mine is my first podcast. She says it's hard to live with the person that wants to kill you every day. It's so very, very true.
What's a myth or misconception you want to call bullshit on? Loud and clear, if any.
It's really for people that don't think like this. It's that you don't know. You just don't know. If you have somebody with this type of condition, yeah, they're telling you a story. It's probably a victim story, and it gets old. But their truth is truth, and that is that they want to die. Pay attention. And if you don't know how to walk with them, there's resources. Everybody's story matters.
Yeah.
Everybody counts. It doesn't matter how they got there. It matters that they're there. And if they're mentioning it, it's because it's on their table. And that is one of the biggest misconceptions. Well, it's just a boyfriend. It's just a relationship. No, it just flipped a switch in somebody, and now they want to die. They want to take their life.
Well, and it's similar to what you just meet people where they are. And that doesn't typically, I don't think, include saying, but well, hang on, Britton's life was way harder than your life. No.
It's not a comparison.
Typically, I play the memoir title game, but in your case, you got ebooks. What are their names?
Well, I did one on psilocybin, MDMA, ketamine. I'm doing EMDR therapy, and then ayahuasca. And they're just short informationals all in one place. So people have that to be able to make these kinds of decisions.
When we were speaking earlier before I hit record, you said something interesting.
I know all the steps so I can dance. What was it? You remember?
I know all the steps to the beautiful dance.
I love it. Wait, I know all the steps to the beautiful dance. I mean, come on. Can we consider that for the memoir title?
Oh, sure.
I always joke with people that it's not a book they're probably, or a memoir that they're ever probably even going to write, but I just want the title.
Yeah. I'll read you a quote I wrote the other day that I actually just put it on a t-shirt for myself to remember this. Our suffering is the canvas in which God paints the invitation to life. That is the paintbrush that he uses to invite other people into life. Through our suffering, if we can change the story on that, if we can change the narrative on that story and see it as a positive, we can impact people. And that be with autism, OCD, sexual addiction, anything that you're struggling with, those major, profound things in your life that you see as roadblocks might actually be your purpose. And it's because we don't have the people in the proper places walking with them. A buddy of mine says that you're born an alcoholic and made into a drug addict. If we can catch people before they get on the drugs, and that'd be in their youth, before they're introduced to those things that shut the monkeys up, that take them down that road, we can change a lot of lives and a lot of courses. And you don't have to go to the bottom. You don't have to lose everything to learn and to find life.
You think you're going to die a natural death?
I don't know. I got a lot of work to do. Here's what I'll leave your listeners, especially people that are struggling with this. And this goes just beyond yourself. It goes to the person that you might be around. Learn to respect yourself, and those will be the boundaries you set for your life.
And you've done that for yourself?
Absolutely. I do.
You love yourself?
I do. Yeah. Not fully, not all the time.
Does that feel weird? Does that feel weird to say it aloud?
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't have said that out loud. There's some weird shit that's coming out of my mouth that I'm like, who are you? Even with TED Talks, that was never been on my plate. And I'm like, I'm going to do this. Do I get consumed? Do I want to do all this all the time? Associated with suicide all the time? No, but I am. So how do I walk with it?
What are you going to do for the rest of your day to take care of yourself or whatever's involved? I just like knowing about people's days.
I have a funeral to go to, and then my cousin just passed away this week too. So, and then a friend's son, his friend passed away a few days ago as well. So it's been a week filled with people leaving this place. So,
well, I mean, even more so appreciate you joining me. I really do.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate being on here, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah, anytime, man. I mean, I know you're busy, and I know you got a lot going on, and I know you have your purpose.
Oh, I'm always happy to collaborate, and I mean, this is what this is about. And I know a lot of artists, and I consider this art. You should see the mad science shit that's going on behind me.
The mad scientist monk. What else, Britton, would you like to share before we get back to our lives?
Love is a very attractive thing for me because I've never really experienced it to the degree that I know as humans, at least I know for myself I'm capable of. Yeah. I'm also capable of just the opposite. Give yourself grace.
All right, brother. Thanks for talking.
Hey, thank you, man. I appreciate this. Appreciate this so very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
As always, thanks so much for listening and all of your support. Special thanks to Britton in Colorado. Thanks, Britton. If you are a suicide attempt survivor or ideator and you'd like to talk, please reach out. I'd love to talk with you. hello@suicidenoted.com. You can learn more about Suicide Noted at suicidenoted.com. There you can find ways in which you can support this podcast, one with a tax-deductible donation. Also, I've put together a couple of presentations that I'm offering, and that might be of interest to you or people that you know. There's also a blog. The blog is essentially acting as a place where we can keep transcripts, and right now we have completed, I think, 2020. We're working on them, but if you want to read these conversations, that's where you can find that. And that is all for this week's episode. Stay strong. Do the best you can. I will talk to you soon.